Everything that we've always loved about football is Arsenal. When I was standing like actually ready to go on, obviously Yanks is running off, and I'm literally thinking, Leah, you've done it. This is literally your whole life Arsenal. You've been wanting this to happen. You've been moaning about it for months. Like, when am I going to get my chance? Trying to graft away, trying to like get into somebody's face basically. And I'm like, you're coming on for Yanks. Like I used to have Yanks' name on the back of my shirt. It's a weird one. It's like, from being totally honest, it's that game I knew it was my last chance to get on a pitch. I'm not picky. I just need something like the ball playing centre half. That's all I've got. That's all I've got. You've seen these arms. But you joked about Hector. I'm not getting in on that joke.
No, we've seen the drip.
We've seen it. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to yet again another episode of the Beautiful Game podcast. As ever, I'm your host, Budge, joined by my faithful two co-conspirators, Dot and Dej. Boys, how we doing?
I'm good, Budge. How are you?
Very, very well indeed. Dej, how about you?
I'm doing great, bro. How you getting on?
Yeah, man, not too bad. Looking forward to the weekend. It's been a busy, tough week, so looking forward to some downtime, man.
Yeah, bro.
Before we kick off the episode, just a reminder for all of you that are listening or tuning in on YouTube that you can view all of our episodes on YouTube. It's the Beautiful Game podcast. So get subscribing, and also you can listen to all of our episodes on Spotify. You can also listen to them on SoundCloud and on Apple Podcasts as well. So we are here back again with another episode for you, and in very, very good company. We've got a very special guest on the platform who's currently plying her trade for Arsenal in a WSL, and also in the England national team. She joined Arsenal at the age of 9 from Rushden and Diamond, and hasn't looked back since. She's a Gooner through and through, and comes from a family. I once upon a time believed that Hector Bellerin was the trendiest player at the club. Boy, was she can certainly show the lads a thing or two about wearing a
drip.
I tell you that, mate. drip. Confirmed. Without further ado, ladies and gents, we welcome Leah Williamson to the platform. Welcome, Leah.
Welcome, Leah.
Hi. It's good to be here.
Appreciate you taking at the time. You're probably doing some stuff this evening for Vogue and you have fashion outlets, but we appreciate you taking the time to have a chat with us.
No worries. How did you know?
Right, Leah, we want to get things kicked off with, right at the beginning of your career. For me, this is a special one. Like I said a little earlier, it's the first time I'm getting a chance to speak to a fellow Gooner. So take us back to the early days. I know the club means a lot to you and a lot to your family. And so right back to the start of your career and coming through the academy system. What was that like for you and your family?
Yeah, so I've like literally my mum and my grandma, like two of the biggest Arsenal fans you'll meet. So I am too, and that side of my mum's family is all Arsenal. So obviously I'm literally living in a fairy tale at the minute. But it's funny because my dad's Spurs.
Okay.
So I made the choice early on. I think I was about 6 when I decided I was going to be an Arsenal fan. I was told it was Arsenal or Spurs. So I became an Arsenal fan, and then obviously so early for me, getting a trial to go down to the JVC at Highbury. I'm thinking this is a bit surreal, and it's almost a bit too good to be true. But it was unreal. I got an opportunity to play at Highbury one of the last times before they knocked it down when I was on trial, and my uncle turned up. He went for a walk. He's ended up in the reception nearly by the changing rooms at one point. My mum's like, "Paul, come back!" And he's wandering up around Highbury. It's amazing. Everything that we've always loved about football is Arsenal. So we've always made the most of every opportunity, I suppose, as a whole family, not just me. But yeah, it's fell into place nicely, I suppose, at the start. And like you say, I've never really looked back. So it's been dreamy, to be honest. And Arsenal Academy is quite successful, and the women's team's always been so successful. So I've literally been in sort of the best hands from such a young age. So I really do feel like I'm Arsenal through and through, because it's everything I've ever known.
Yeah, so you said growing up, you know, it was either Arsenal or Tottenham in your household. So what was the deciding factor? Why did you decide to, you know, support Arsenal?
I think I went to a Spurs game first. My dad took me, and he bought me a kit, made me put it on like somebody's doorstep, you know, like before we even got to the ground. So I think he was scared that if he waited to get home, my mum would throw it away before he managed to get home. But I don't know, I think just, you know, my mum, my grandma going with them. I think I loved it, and I suppose Arsenal's a bit more of a, I don't want to offend Spurs. So when I was younger, it was a lot more welcoming, I feel like, to me, and especially going with my mum, my grandma, you know, 3 women and 3 generations of family going to football. We was always welcome at Arsenal. So I just like the feeling of it. So I'm glad I play for England, because my dad's as patriotic as me. So at least we have that little you know, thing. Yeah. We have our yeah.
So, how did you like first, you know, figure out that you wanted to be a professional footballer?
So I used to, I was actually born, I used to walk not so good, like toes pointing in, and had to have inner soles and all that jazz. And I was told to do gymnastics or horse riding to try and like sort my feet out, basically. And so I went to gymnastics, and my coach was massive football Man United fan. So at the end of the session, when we were like waiting for our parents to come pick us up, he'd have the girls playing like hockey or football. And I don't know, there was just, I seemed to be the odd one out because I could play. So I went home, told my mum I wanted to play football, and then literally as soon as I joined a team, with my best mate Mason, we joined that team together, and ever since, like I just don't think anything compares to it. You know, I was in a team, my whole family loved it, so they'd come down to watch, and I just thought this is literally perfect. Everything that we love in the world is in one place. And then, like I say, when I then actually went to Arsenal, it's just like another tick box. Like, why would I not want to do this forever, kind of thing. And then literally did loads of sports and stuff. But I think from young, like I don't know, we're quite an emotional family, quite passionate about things, and straight away, like that's where my sort of emotion came out in football. So I think I knew if I was good enough, it was always going to be my thing.
Yeah. And so obviously, Leah, fast forward, you worked through the ranks, and you came through the sentence, and 2014 is where you make your senior team debut, right?
Yeah.
Now, there are a number, like from the outside looking in, there are a number of different things that make me think, wow, that must have been the most difficult debut anyone could have asked for. Because one, you're coming on for Rachel Yankee.
Yeah.
Cool. Legend.
Big boots to fill, right?
Yeah.
On top of that, it was in a very, very important game, obviously being in the I think it was the Champions League quarterfinal.
Yeah.
And forgive me if I'm incorrect in this, but at the point where you were coming on, Arsenal were losing, right? Was it 2-0 at the time?
Yeah, 2-0.
So those three factors make it like the worst possible debut for you. So could you take us through that point in time for you, like that moment?
Yeah. So I was a bit disappointed, to be fair, even like getting to that stage, because a couple of my mates that had come through the academy, Carla Humphrey, I played with her since I was 6, even at Rushden. So we come all together, and she'd been picked for a couple of trips and away games and stuff, and I wasn't getting my breakthrough. So I'm already feeling like I'm behind, and I've always been, you know, like I say, I want to know how good I can be, so I don't want to waste any time. I'm like, just throw me in, like chuck me in the deep end, let me see what happens. I was already kind of frustrated at this point, like, oh, when's it going to happen? And then I was almost annoyed because I felt like, obviously, I'm thinking this could work out in our favour and we go on to win. And, you know, the young guns that have come on have like flipped the game on its head.
Yeah.
But obviously, the majority of me knows that it's more of a give the girls experience because we're going out kind of thing. So for me, I'm like almost annoyed because I'm thinking, right, okay, like I'm not that good. Like you're not bringing me on to like make a difference. Maybe that's how I felt. And it just, but literally when I was standing on the side, so when I'm warming up, I'm thinking, do you know what? Actually, I might just leave this. I'll feel a bit nervous, like at this moment in time. So I'm like, oh, giving it the big, and I'm all annoyed. And then when it comes to it, I'm thinking, oh, I could just stay there.
This is peak.
And then when I was standing, like actually ready to go on, obviously Yanks is running off, and I'm literally thinking, Leah, you've done it. Like this is literally your whole life, Arsenal. You've been wanting this to happen. You've been moaning about it for months. Like, when am I going to get my chance? Trying to graft away, trying to like get into somebody's face, basically. And I'm like, you're coming on for Yanks. Like I used to have Yanks' name on the back of my shirt.
Wow.
Like, you know what I mean? So I
Unreal.
At that point, I'm then thinking, go on, just stop being an idiot and just go and like enjoy it. And I don't really remember much about the game. We did lose, and it was tragic. We got knocked out of the Champions League, but that was it. Then I was like, one foot in the door. I'm not going back.
Yeah, so obviously taking up to, recent seasons since 2017, your manager's been Joe Montemuro. He's a manager that's highly rated within the women's game. He likes playing, a progressive style of football. I remember watching the game against Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, in front of a record 30-odd thousand. And that was a great game to watch because you could see that second half in particular, you really took the game to Tottenham and really pressurized them and made them make mistakes. So how is it like playing under him, and what sort of manager is he?
So he's completely different to any manager I've ever had. He's the most, for somebody with so much detail and for somebody that loves, Joe's just like, you go to him like, give me more, and he's just got like ideas coming out of his ears. Like he's just so detailed in everything that he does, but he's the most chilled man you'll ever meet. I don't think you'll find a more chilled out guy in football, which obviously to have that balance is like so unique. Which is I love it because I'm the same. I'm like don't get me wrong, I'm competitive and all those kind of, I'm chill. I'm just get on with it kind of thing. I don't know. So I really get on with Joe. And yeah, I'm literally begging, all the time. I'm like, okay, so what's the next? He's bringing things in and showing the team. Obviously, from 2017, it was like a introduction of the back end of the season because he came in midway through. It was like an introduction to him and what his style was, because he's got like 7-star rules and basically the foundation of what we do. And then from then it's just basically like fine detail everywhere. I just love it. I'm like, trying to be as much of a sponge as possible, just taking it all in. But like that Tottenham game at half time, he's like, you're not doing, he can list. He's like, okay, this style rule's being broken, this style rule's, this is basically you're creating your own problems. So pick it up, gives you 2 or 3 pointers. You go out and it's like a different team. But I like it. He's very much in control of what we're doing. Best way to defend is by attacking and managing the play and keeping it in their half and stuff. So right up my street, basically. I love having him at Arsenal.
How much has the women's game changed since your embryonic stages of your career? Because obviously in 2019 we had that watershed World Cup where there was a massive audience watching the women's football. I think early on this year we had almost a sellout at Wembley. So how much has the women's game developed since your embryonic stages up until now?
Like immensely. So I started sort of integrating with the first team when I was sort of 16 and coming up to my 17th birthday, and that's when I got my debut. And the game was like, we were training at 5 evening, 2-3 times a week. I don't know. I can't even remember. And then by the time I was 18, so on my 18th birthday, I signed my first pro contract, but it was actually a pro contract. So I left school, went professional, and that was it. Training from 10 o'clock in the morning.
What did you do after you signed that contract?
My way home. I know to my mum, I thought, yeah, we've done well here, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that things like that, you know, they're massive moments. But the way it's worked out for me, when I said to you, I'm living in a fairy tale. Like, I turned 18, suddenly the game goes professional. You know, like
timing.
Yeah, exactly. My dad, the whole way through when I was growing up, he always used to say to me, if like my mum's been the grounded, like you go to school, you finish your A levels, no negotiation.
Yeah, typical.
Yeah, this is your hobby. Until I literally signed my pro contract 18, she's like, this is a hobby, so don't get ahead of yourself, kind of thing. Which I needed, but my dad, for a guy, obviously he was like so happy. I'm his firstborn, and I actually like football, so he was never bothered by it. He was so supportive, but he always said to me, by the time you get to the age like 18, whatever, he's like, the game will be professional. He said, mark my words. And there's no sign that it's ever going to be professional. You know, like, you don't know. Year on year, it grows constantly. So at that point, and he came with me to sign that contract, I'm just like, I look at him and think like what, you know, it's just incredible, I think. And like I say, it just fits in with my little fairy tale. And then since then, like I say, if you'd have told me sell out at Wembley, then, you know, I think the last game, which might have even been around that time, was like half the, you know, just the lower tier. And now there's a consistent final, like the FA Cup final every single year is at Wembley for women's FA Cup, and, you know, an international fixture of that magnitude. It's like we're at a stage now where we're not going to go away. You know, women's football is like, it's itself in society. And I think that's the real change. Before, it wasn't necessarily the norm, you know, like your families didn't just wake up at the weekend and go, oh, let's go and watch the girls. There was a reason, like, oh, the men's isn't on, so we'll go and watch the ladies play. And now it's like season tickets are bought, and, you know.
Leah, so in your opinion, what's the next step now? Because we saw the World Cup, but how do we get that footfall on a weekly basis? Yeah,
so obviously the World Cup is so good for us, because when we're successful, the growth in the, like, it's literally, you know, the success we have, the bigger the game gets in this country. And you see that with this year, like you say, record attendances and all that. But I think there's got to be a massive commitment from the companies that push us. You know, every now and again we'll get a big company come in and invest some money, and it's like, oh, ahead of the Olympics. And it's like, no, like, why don't we just ahead of the rest of women's football, you know? The future of women's football, we're here and we're going to stay. You know, a 10-year plan. Like, Barclays came in with a massive investment into the game, and it's a long plan. It's not just a year of commitment and then if we don't win at the Olympics, they back out. You know, it's you know, I say Olympics because Team GB is obviously an option this year. It's the next tournament, but the Euros and leading up to our home Euros, you can have loads of people jumping in, and it's whether or not they stay past that. So I think you've got more young girls playing, got more people coming to watch the games. It now is a responsibility, I think, of the investors to keep pushing it, making it, you know, putting it on the TV, making sure that it's visible to everybody all the time. And I think that show of support will then encourage the rest of, you know, the people that are going to tap in and like women's football. I think that's the next step now. In my opinion, I'm asking for money. I'm like, come on then, who's spending?
Make it rain. I've got to ask, Leah, you know, when you on the day that you signed your professional contract, and your dad came along, was he pictured holding the jersey as well?
Yeah, one hand on the table, one hand on my shoulder. He just stayed neutral. But yeah, I mean, he's never said come on Arsenal my whole time. Never, ever. It's always come on Reds. Never. He can't say it. So
he can't bring himself to do it.
Just can't do it.
Do you know what, Lee? I also wanted to ask, just following up from a question that Dej asked you earlier about your gaffer in Joe Montemurro. And you was obviously speaking about his style of management and the fact that he's so like detailed and like structured in his approach. Does that all does that help you trust him and his methods and philosophies a bit more? And I say that in particular because of the fact that by trade you are obviously a midfielder.
Mm.
He's come in and seen that, you know, he finds you better at, as a defender in terms of the way that he wants to play the game. So did that kind of ease that transition for you?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's because, like you said, versatility has always been a strength of mine, but sometimes it can really sort of hinder you. Like, I feel like every time I've changed position, it just kind of puts the rest on hold, and it's like, oh, we'll just see where she's at by the end of the year. Straight away when he comes in, he's like, this is my plan. Are you on board? Yes, no. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in.
So it's like an ultimatum basically.
Yeah, like, I see, what do you want to be, you know, in my team? I see you as a centre half. Do you want to, is that what you want to do? And I'm like, yeah, 100%, because I can see, like you say, I see his vision. I see exactly what he wants from a centre half. It's not like chuck me in and just see what happens. It's like very thought out, and he's picked me for that role specifically. So there's always been that understanding from the start. And so yeah, 100% it. Manager sort of, he's big on freedom. Don't get me wrong. I'm not prescribed. You know, he doesn't tell me you have to hit A to B to, you know, whatever. It's just, this is what I'm giving you. These are the tools. Go and do what you want to do with it. So yeah, 100%. His level of detail, I've trusted him from start, and I don't know why, because he was new to me. So it must have something to do with that.
Yeah, so just harping back to Dot's point on the England squad. Obviously, we had the World Cup in France, and you got to the semis. You made your World Cup debut against Cameroon in a, you know, an ill-tempered game, the 3-0 win. So how was that experience? Because making your debut in the World Cup is meant to be one of the crowning moments of one's, but to get embroiled in all of that, you know, the side issues and stuff like that. How was that experience?
Yeah, so it's a weird one. It's like, from being totally honest, it's that game was, I knew was my last chance to get on a pitch. Really, you know, if I'm being totally realistic, and you know, it's, you know, circumstance aside, you never know what's going to happen. That's the beauty of the World Cup. But I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I've not been used in the free warm up, like the group games. This is like, past this point is only going to be top tier opponents, you know. And I think we knew our run would be like, you know, what it was North USA, and then, you know, the Netherlands in the final, which would have been all like terrible, like, they're hard games basically. So I'm looking at this game and I'm thinking, if I'm going to get on, this is going to be my game. So from minute one, when it started kicking off, I just thought, mate,
my luck, just my luck.
Anything else wrong? So I'm sort of coming to terms with the fact that it's probably not going to happen. So then when it did, you know, I don't know it's going to happen. I'm just thinking, if it is, this is the time. And so when it then, you know, Leah go and warm up, I'm thinking, okay. So I just forgot about the game at that point and just thought, get me on, like, as quick as possible. I think I literally ran down, did a couple of like high knees, little heel flicks, ran straight back and thought, no, I'm ready. So yeah, I think it was difficult, because it's like, when people talk about the game, that's what they talk about. They don't say, oh, Leah made a debut in that game, for example.
So it was kind of stained in a way.
Yeah, a little bit on reflection, but at the time I did not care. I was like, you know, laces tied. I was like, I'm ready. Get me on. So yeah, it's definitely like my first pick of games. But I think everything happens for a reason. So I'm sort of, you know, I'm on board with the whole situation, and hopefully that kind of experience, even the dramatics of the game, will like help me in the future. Even though it's you know, 13 minutes or whatever it was, it's something that can't be taken away from me now. So
yeah, so obviously you got to the semi-finals, and against the formidable USA. They're seen as the, you know, market leaders when it comes to women's football.
Yeah.
Going into those games, is there sort of mentality crisis? Because from the outside looking in, the USA women seem brash, they seem bold, you know, confident. When approaching those games, do you think England have got, you know, a sort of chink in their psyche?
So it's really funny, because we do a lot of like personality, sort of, you like analyze each other and you see what type of personality you are, whatever, and you do the tests. And I mean, I've only ever done it, I've now done it on reflection, but in the World Cup I did have this kind of like there was, the girls believed they was going to win, no doubt, like there was a win to win because we're going to the final, like we were planning on staying, you know, you just don't like, you literally think, when I think back to it, I thought we were going to win because I was convinced by what everybody else's reaction was. But at the time I was thinking, because I'm like a risk person, like I'm an assessor. You know, just, do we have a contingency plan? Like, what if we don't? And it just wasn't an option. But I think, like you say, going into a game like that against the US, you can't afford to spare a minute of like, but what if this happens? Or, you know, like you say, they're just such a force. I'm glad for the way that we approached it, because I think even in the game you see it, like the girls are like, no, we're here to win. It wasn't like a rollover. But yeah, they are, since then, like playing them at the Shivali's, whatever, and me actually being on the pitch that time, you know, they just have this, you know, aura about them that's just like success to success. So you can't really argue with that.
Is it intimidating as a player?
Personally, I like it. I'm like, you know, it's a really good position to be in when you're the underdog, like, which is not really, especially for me, throughout my life. I've been at Arsenal all my life, so we've never been the underdog. And then, you know, I've come into the England team at a time where we're like second ranked in the world, when I first made my debut. So for me, it's like playing against the US, I think like pressure's off, let's go.
Yeah.
But then obviously, like I say, when you sort of start playing the game, you do appreciate it. And now I've actually been on the pitch against them, I do appreciate the power that they have, and they're just such a force. But yeah, personally, I don't get intimidated, but their whole setup, like we played them at the Shivali's, they had fireworks before the game, and you know, the song, the light show, and I'm thinking, whoa, it's just next level. They are, in terms of women's football, they are at the top, and they're, you know, I'm not sure anybody's really close at the minute to catching them. So it's exciting. It's a good challenge. I love it. I'm like, let's go. But yeah, they are literally the best, and you can't argue with it. So I suppose there's a level of intimidation, like in general, around that.
So what are, like, you know, the FA's plan to bridge that gap between England and USA? Because obviously they brought in Phil Neville, and we spoke to Lucy Bruns, your friend, and she was saying that Phil Neville's kind of implemented a playing style where you girls want to pass and move the ball. But how are you girls going to bridge that gap from nearly to now winners?
I think it comes in the style of play. So I think the US have been so successful for so many years because they, from minute one, they was the fittest, the fastest, the strongest. And at that point, with no professional setups elsewhere in the world, they were steam trained, you know, just ahead. Because you're asking Alex Scott, for example, who works in the laundry at Arsenal, and plays for England at the weekend, you know, kind of thing, to go and compete with a professional setup. So for so long, they've powered ahead in that area. And it's like now, like Lucy says, we're not trying to compete with them physically anymore. We are, and everybody's matching up to that physicality now, with professional setups everywhere. I think our strength is that playing football, we're better than them. So I think that's where that will come, definitely. But I do think that everything they have, the lifestyle, you know, they're together 60 days for a camp for a national team. Like, it's just not heard of anywhere else. So I think the more professional our game gets, especially in England, which is where most of our girls play, and the more that lifestyle just becomes so natural and so, you know, focused around football, and the investments keep coming, which allows us to be on par with them. You know, they have outrageous resources, and we do now as well. And I think it's just taken that, combining it with like actually on the pitch being this like passing team. You know, I think we want to be a mixture of Spain and the US.
Okay.
Spain, literally, they don't give the ball away. They're so tidy, so creative, and then the US, which is like this, like I say, like this just absolute steam
Mentality.
train on a football.
Yeah.
But I agree, like Lucy says, I think that's the change that's made us close. And now it's like finding us at a level which competes with their, you know, what we can be better at, we now need to take to the next level, which, you know, this new manager, whoever it is, comes in, that's their task, basically, to make us sort of unbeatable on the pitch in terms of the way that we want to play. Phil's introduced it. It's now taking that to the next level.
So who do you think should get the job, get the gig?
Get the gig. I've been really thinking about this because I just don't know. Like Emma Hayes, she's got success after success at Chelsea. She's a winner. So it's like, to me, that's the final piece of the puzzle. We need somebody to come in who's literally going to win. But I'm not picky. I just need someone with like the ball playing centre half. That's all I've got. That's all I've got. You've seen these arms. I'll just want somebody to come in who's a winner. I think that's the final piece of the puzzle. You know, Phil was a winner as a player, and he's introduced this like new style of football, and we're on the up. And now it's just about somebody, whoever it is, coming in and just literally like picking up where he's left off, and like no time to waste, just sort of go for the throat. So yeah, I'm not picky as long as they you know, sort of have the experience of winning. I think, because I think that's the final thing now. We just need that bit.
And like
So
a ball playing centre half as well.
Yeah, so final one on England from me. I also asked Lucy this question as well. There was that moment in the semi-final when USA scored and they done the teacup celebration. In your opinion, obviously the press back home were saying it was arrogant, disrespectful. From your opinion, was that a bit of banter, or do you believe they crossed the line?
So from the type of person that I am, I don't really like to talk too much. I think that football literally does the talking, and I like banter. I'm good for banter, but I don't really think you'll ever see me throwing it back, just because I think I can take it. But yeah, I'm not really like a. Like if I beat you, I'll beat you. What are you gonna say?
Yeah.
Yeah, love that.
I think it was banter. I don't think it's disrespectful. I think you're in a World Cup, so if you score a goal, I think you're justified to celebrate however you want. But it did. I mean, I was on the bench. I was like, oh.
Leah, I've got to ask you. I've got to ask the question, Leah. Last year, you had the opportunity to travel to Indonesia with Save the Children and the Arsenal Foundation. So I just wanted to ask you a bit about that experience. You know, how important are those sort of experiences to sort of, you know, really in your you know, your outlook and widen your perspective and that kind of thing?
Yeah, so a big part of me, I think, like, come from my family is, you know, I play football to try and see how good I can be, but there's a whole other side to it. And I think that if we neglect that as footballers, we're wasting such a big opportunity of using either the platform that we have or just sort of making an imprint somewhere else that isn't the football pitch. And for me, to get that opportunity to go, again, Joe, like, this is why we get on so well. He was like, told me to go. So it was during pre-season. I shouldn't have really been flying half over the world for 2 days. But he told me, like, if you don't go, you're going to miss an opportunity here that's going to potentially like change your outlook on life. So from a selfish perspective, it's one of the best things I've ever done. Like, you don't believe things until you see it. I didn't understand that people lived in conditions like that. I just didn't. You just can't sort of like fathom it. So for me personally, it was so needed, just to change the way I look at the world, not necessarily change, but just like give me a direction. Like, what do I want to do here? Why am I here? I'm here to play football, and what else do I want to achieve? Do I want to carry on and just look back and say, oh yeah, scored, you know, and just be a stat? or do I want to look back and think, okay, I made a difference here or there? And
Mm.
I mean, I'll never understand this, you know, the level of like, when the girls see me, they're like, oh my God, you know, because I'm thinking it's me. I don't know what you're bothered about. But that power that we do have in that sense, you just can't waste it. Like, what, you know, to go and give these girls a little bit of hope, a little bit of direction, whatever. I just couldn't waste that opportunity. But like, honestly, I could speak about it all day. It's like the best thing in my life I've ever done. And it just, it made me realise I need to make sure that I'd leave an imprint and help people. It's not about me, it's about what they get out of it. So yeah.
Oh, big up yourself, Leah. Moving on to life outside of football.
Yeah.
Obviously we know that you've got a brand, and you know, you're on Instagram and you like your music and all of them things there.
Zara sponsorships and all that.
No, but I want to ask, like, how important is raising your brand and your profile in raising the profile of the women's game in general? Because the more you raise your individual brand, the more, you know, people are attracted to women's football.
Yeah, no, exactly. You know, we joke about, you joked about Hexter. I'm not getting in on that joke.
No, we've seen the drip.
We've seen it.
But when I look at that, like, it's the same thing. You either got people talking on Twitter and Instagram, whatever, about football twice a week when the games are on, or you've got people literally talking about football and loving the sport and getting into the sport because they're seeing him every day on, you know, doing what he wants to do and showcasing himself. And it's the same for women's football. It's the same tactic, I suppose. What we have as a selling point, if we're talking as a product, like the women's game as a product, is that we're so accessible, and I feel like fans really can feel connected to us. Just the nature of it, you know, the stadiums that we play at, we're a lot more available for that kind of interaction. So to showcase myself on Instagram to whatever, like, it just increases that engagement, I think, between the fans. And you know, I mean, I'm just doing, it's, you know, I run my account. I'm the one that puts out what I want to put out, because I'm like, this is me, and I want to show people what I'm interested in, and I like connecting with other people that have the same interests, etc. But at the same time, it's so useful for the game. Like, for all of the girls, when they put them there, the response is like incredible, because people want that. They want to see who you are. They want to see what you want to wear, what you're interested in. They want to listen to your music. So, you know, it's this. I think it's just about engagement and like, really, like you say, you know, I don't know, putting ourselves out there for everybody to see, and sort of growing the women's game by growing our individual profiles, kind of. But yeah, I love it. I'm like, I don't know, it just gives you a new dimension. You're connecting with people in different ways, and I mean, if I focus on football myself, I don't know, I probably wouldn't do it, because it just, you know, it'd consume you and much. So that's why I like to do it, to take myself away. But yeah, I think it's a really good way to engage with people.
Yeah, so outside of fashion and, you know, modeling and stuff like that, what other interests do you have? Like, what music are you into? Like, what box sets are you watching?
So box sets, my favourite, I watched it at the start of lockdown, was Sex Education on Netflix. Tell me you've seen it. No, you're
No. But you recommend it, yeah, Leah? You recommend it?
I would recommend it. It's funny. It's really fun. Well, I think it's funny. But yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like, anything that's on The Last Dance. Oh my God, it was unreal.
Yeah. That was
best sports documentary for me ever.
100%.
Yeah, so well made as well. But yeah, I mean, music, like, I'm literally...
Top 3 songs at the moment. What's on your playlist?
Good question.
Do you control the playlist at Arsenal?
Say that again.
Do you control the playlist at Arsenal? Do you control it?
Do you get handed the aux cord?
I love it. I love music because what it does. Same reason I love football, because I love going with my family. I love music because when you listen to a song and somebody else is on your vibe and you're both listening to the same song, there's nothing better. So I love doing music in the change room because it spreads joy, and everybody loves it, and everybody it alters the mood. But I mean, I've got a record player, so I've been listening to my records recently. So my free song, old songs, bit of Motown in there, a bit of soul.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
The top 3 musicians. Who's your top 3 musicians?
Apparently you're into your Drake.
I am. Isn't everybody?
It's got some bangers. No, it's got some bangers.
Yeah, he's got music for every mood, basically, hasn't he? So
exactly. It's a whole, I mean, Drake. I could listen to Drake all day, every day. I think so. He's got to be up there. But I don't know. I'm a bit different. I like different music as well. So sometimes what I listen to on the bus to the game is different to what I play in the change room, because I think everybody would sleep if I played the music.
Yeah, I want to go into your relationship with Kira Walsh, your best friend at Manchester City. How does that dynamic work? Because both teams are competing at the top of the table. I mean, this season obviously was decided by the points per game. Obviously, Chelsea taking it with 2.6 per game. Then obviously second was 2.5 per game and third was 2.4. So how does that dynamic work? In and around the games, are you able to talk as normal? Or how do you take that rivalry? Because in the men's game, you always hear people say, no, he's been banned for the week, I'm not talking to him. So how does it work in the women's game as well?
It's hard because me and Kira are literally like best mates. I have been forever. We talk about music. The reason me and Kira are such good mates because we both love like dancehall, R&B, mate. So that the times that we spend together, I wish she was my teammate all the time. When I'm in England, I love it. But when we're away, we just. If she was playing cup final or whatever, I'd always text her like, "Hope you have a good game today." Hope you have a good game. So we always, and then maybe like before the game, all we ever say to each other that week is just because it's just easier to leave it out. Otherwise, I don't know, it's just not necessary. But all we text each other is like, "See you in the bar after." See you in the canteen after, wherever we are. So yeah, literally, it's like, I can't wait to see you after, and then just like one kiss, and then that's it.
Leah, how is the Arsenal women's team relationship with the men's team? Because we've seen this sort of cross collaboration on Twitter between some of the Arsenal women and some of the Arsenal men. So how is that dynamic? Are you cool with any of the players? Do you speak to them?
Yeah, so it's quite nice really, because where we have a big gym at Arsenal and the men use a different gym, and then when they're doing rehab, they come into the big gym and do their session in there. So that's how it really, I think, when the teams actually started, we've always had like a couple of players that would know a couple of players, or maybe from the same country or whatever. But I think right now is probably the closest I've ever known the two teams to be. In terms of interaction, and I think that's come from that. So we had quite a few rehab girls, like a few ACLs and stuff, and so did the boys. So Dan Carr, she's sort of the one that she normally like mingles, and then we all just
big up Dan Carr.
Coolest person, so she's the one that we send out ahead, and then we all follow up. But yeah, I mean, Hector's really cool with the girls, and speaking to us like. It's funny, isn't it? Because they are like superstars, and we're just not on that level. So it's different. It's I'm gonna know all of their names because that's what it is at men's football. I don't really expect them to know everything about us, but there's some cool people. Rob Holden, he's like really good friends with a couple of the girls, and Xhaka, we've got a Swiss girl, so they knew each other before, and but we've had some nice, like Petr Cech, he took us out for dinner for winning the league last year. Little trip into London, so that was like really nice, like just a nice gesture.
Before he left to Chelsea.
Yeah.
Agent check. Do
you know what, Leah? Nothing bad to say about him.
Do you know what, Leah? I wanted to ask you. Obviously, you're still like super. You've managed to amass over 100 appearances for the club at such a young age and whatnot, and you've still got so much football left to play. But looking even further down the line, so like once you've finally hung out the boots and whatnot, what do you reckon the future holds for you? And the reason I ask is obviously because you're naturally quite studious, like you said. Your mum drummed it into you, so you were studying your history, your maths and whatnot at A level. And then the rumor has it that you're also doing stuff like around accountancy and that kind of thing. So when you do eventually hang out the boots, is it like completely, done with football? Do you think that you will be still involved in some capacity, or is it going to be something completely different?
Yeah, I mean, the accountancy is definitely my backup option, my solid option. We're not as fortunate as we don't earn as much money, so if something was to happen to me tomorrow, I need the job straight away. So that's my security. And who knows, maybe, I mean, there's definitely, being a personal accountant, I've got a lot of clientele that I can tap into. So don't get me wrong, I see the business venture. But yeah, I think right now, that's what I like to take myself out of my comfort zone. So if there's an opportunity to do something within the media, within football, I'll at least try it, see if I like it, see if I get on with it, see if people take well to me or whatever. Because you never know. You just never know with things like that. And it's not really something that you choose to go into. It's if the opportunity comes to you. But I have so many passions outside of football. Music, film. Film's not something I talk about a lot, but I'm quite interested in it. I've sort of played around with making my own kind of stuff, and just throughout my life. So I've got so many interests that I sort of are yet to explore, I suppose. But yeah, I've started working with a couple of people and just having those conversations, because you just don't know. I don't know where I'm going to be. I don't know what I'm going to be passionate about. So yeah, it's one of them ones. But Nike as well. Like I have a lot of big conversations with the people I work with. They're just about deep conversations. Where do you want to be in 5 years' time?
Yeah.
Not really planning it out, but just making sure that I sort of make sure I explore all my options. Football is such a gift, and the whole thing of football, the job, the traveling, the people that you meet, everything. I know how lucky I am to be in the position I am, and I just think leaving football is such a hard task to find something to fill that hole. So I just want to make sure it's the right one. But yeah, I'd rule out coaching. I don't think you'll ever. But yeah, I wouldn't rule out staying in football, just because I don't actually can fill that hole. I think to some you always need it in your life.
Yeah, so you've been at Arsenal, your whole career. You're still only 23. We've started to see a lot of players venture out into Europe. Tony Duggan, Nikita Paris, Alex Greenwood, and obviously Lucy Bronze, who you've had on this platform. Do you see yourself retiring at Arsenal, or do you see there being a situation where, obviously, if the offer is good enough, you'll move on to Europe?
Yeah, it's really it's a difficult one, because obviously I am Arsenal through and through, and I've always said, like, if you win something, and if I win something in an Arsenal shirt, it's going to mean more to me than 5 titles somewhere else. And obviously Arsenal are a competitive team. They're at the top of the game. They want me. That's a good start. But yeah, I think women's football is hard because opportunities could come around that can sort of be life changing. So investment somewhere. You look at a Lyon and the amount of investment they have, and you could. Players could come back sort of set up really after being there, kind of thing. So if you're being brutally honest, I don't know what opportunity will ever come around the corner for me. But to look back on my career, I know now for certain, if I look back on my career and I retired at Arsenal after being in my whole life, I don't think I'd regret. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what opportunities are going to come around. Around the corner, or Arsenal might want to ship me off next year.
No chance.
I can confidently say that.
Would you say your dream is to, one day eventually, be the captain of the club you love, Arsenal Football Club?
Yeah, I think I've been sort of a captain at lower levels and stuff, younger age groups and stuff. So it's always sort of a thing that people say. But I mean, I'm a big and my mum's always said this, and I believe it. Like, that's something that finds you. And I think for 100%, if, like I say, it's been an absolute dream to captain Arsenal, literally because I love them. But it's definitely something that finds you. So I just do me, and if it's the right fit at a certain point. But it's tough feat to follow in. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
She's one of our own. She's one of our own. Leah Williamson. She's one of our own.
It's been a dream to have you on the podcast, Leah. You've been amazing.
No, thanks for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, we've really appreciated getting your insight, and good luck for the rest of your career, and hopefully we catch up soon and do another one.
Yeah, give you more to. Let me do some bits, and then I'll give you more to talk about.
You will do. And next time you do, maybe you'll be wearing the armband as well.
Yeah, I wear it.
Yeah, no, Leah, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm sure it's one that our fellow Gooners will absolutely love, but of course, all of our other listeners and viewers and whatnot as well. So we're gonna call it a day there. Once again, a quick reminder to all of you who are not yet subscribed to our YouTube channel. It's the Beautiful Game Podcast, and you can watch all of our episodes on there. And you can also listen to all of the audio versions of our interviews on Spotify. Again, it's the Beautiful Game Podcast. And if you don't have Spotify, I don't know, there might be some of you out there. You can listen to the episodes on SoundCloud and on Apple Podcasts as well. And if you're listening in on Apple Podcasts, please make sure you leave a 5-star review. Follow us on Twitter at podcast_TBG and on Instagram at pod_TBG. Until the next episode, over and out.
Peace.